So in today's episode, well, we got an experiment. The experiment is, can you put a gyroscope inside of a basketball and make it so it never falls off your finger? So what we're gonna do is get this basketball, we're gonna cut a moon shape into it, and then we're gonna somehow stick a gyroscope inside. The gyroscopic effect is used in our daily lives, actually, on a bicycle. If you think about it, when you're standing still, it wants to fall over. Once you start pedaling, those wheels get spinning, and it puts a force that goes up and down and makes it so it doesn't want to tip. That's what we're gonna do with the basketball. We're gonna put a gyroscope inside, spin and weight really, really fast, and then it's gonna make this ball not want to tip right or left. So first of all, we're gonna open up a CAD program. Wow, that's a lot of fingerprints. Alright, there we go. This is the weight right here, which is going to stick onto this motor right here. So here's the 3D print. This is the main part, which is going to go inside the basketball. But when you 3D print stuff, there's a lot of supports, extra parts, which you just cut out afterwards. So we're going to go ahead and start cutting all those pieces out. So here's what the plan is. This is what the 3D print looks like. It's all done. Got all the extra non-important supports off of it. The first step here is to get this little motor we have and to put it inside the gyroscope. Now, that's a really tight fit. It like barely just, it might squish in there if I push it. If not, we'll just heat that up a bit. And then this weight is gonna stick on top. And then we got this little switch here, and this switch is gonna go underneath the basketball in this little box. Check it out. Here is the little wheel. It fits perfectly on the motor. So tight, I think it's gonna stay. This print, as you could see early on the video, it took like that was 1 day and 15 hours or something. So first time, all the parts fit. The motor, as you can see in the side there, it fits perfectly snug. The weight on top, this wheel, it fits nice and snug around the shaft of the motor, so it's gonna stick. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna glue around the motor in there, and we'll attach the wires onto the bottom. We'll turn it on and see what happens. All right, so the first issue is now that the switch is not working. I just checked with the multimeter and it's not having a connection. So I'm gonna see if I can open it up. Is there anything I can fix inside of it? If not, we'll come up with plan B. So first, try to fix the switch and go from there. I'm gonna plug the battery in and see if this thing works. Okay, so I was looking for a little bit more. It's not bad, it's wobbling a lot, but and it just doesn't quite produce the exact effect I was looking for, at least not a strong enough effect. So I was looking for this to like stay level in this position. If I let go, it falls over. All right, so it does work, it turns on, but the only thing is it's just not producing a strong enough of a gyroscopic effect like I want. So what we're gonna do is I'm going to 3D print a thicker one, and then we'll try and put that on and we'll give it a shot. All right, so it's the next morning and the new weight is printed. I got it in there, it just won't go on to the motor, so all I'm gonna do is heat the motor up, or the shaft of the motor, and then I'll just squish it on. such a weird feeling. It's like it's gonna fall, but then it doesn't. Or does it? Well, it just fell off my finger and broke on the floor. Time to rebuild. Let's go. All right, so this whole design, this didn't work. So what we're gonna do now is go with more power. Again, I'm using this motor. I'm sure you've seen it in past videos. Or a similar type of motor. It's a high power, it's like 300 watts in this little tiny thing. So we're gonna reuse this weight. We're gonna put the motor on it now. We'll drill it out, and then we'll see how much stability it can create. And then if that works, then we'll make a 3D print to mount this inside of the ball. So let's try it out. All right, I got it on there. I'm holding it with some vice grips for safety. Okay. This is pretty, seems a little sketchy, but here's the remote so you can see how much throttle I'm applying. That's like 5% throttle, which is probably all I'm gonna do. All right, so this thing actually worked. So I'm gonna go ahead and start the 3D print so we can put this inside of the basketball. Now, this is absolutely sketchy, like super sketchy. So that was only like 2%, 5% throttle maybe. So once we get into the ball, I'll be comfortable going up a little more. We'll be prepared, we'll take our proper precautions. But I think this is gonna work. And just keep in mind, this motor spins up to 45,000 RPM. Not 4,500, 45,000. So, you know, that was only maybe 5% throttle. So 5% of 45,000 RPM, that's about what that was spinning at. And it felt sketchy. So we'll make the 3D print, we'll put it inside the basketball, and at least that way, if it does decide to explode, the disc explodes, it'll be inside a basketball. Should be better off. All right, so here's the shroud, or whatever you want to call it, to go around, and I made sure that there's some holes in here so it'd print faster, because it was going to take more than a day to print. So we got the shroud, or whatever you want to call it, the shield, and then we're going to put the motor right into the middle. There we go. So this is going to sit in here, something like that. And that way, when it's spinning, it's gonna have somewhat of a guard around it. And also the ball is then gonna sit on top. We'll cut the ball in half, put half of it on top, and then the other half will connect from the bottom. So we're gonna go ahead and mount this motor into the shroud. Well, that did not work. All right, so I got 3 out of the 4 inserts to work. This one just melted through. If you guys have any suggestions, or you know how to put these inserts in properly, they're just these things right here. These little push-in inserts and these screws. But half the time I put them in, they just don't really work right. I don't know if the temperature of this thing is too high or whatnot, but if you have any suggestions, let me know in the comments. And we also gotta remember, all of this has to fit inside the basketball as well. That was a lot of beeping. This baby ready to take off. That feels much better than the last one. Safety's #1 priority. look good, don't they? That already just about came off. So obviously it was not tight enough. I had the spinning anti-clockwise, so when I speed up, it tightens the bolt. But what happened there was when I let off the throttle, it loosened it off. Whoa, right. We're gonna get the basketball, cut it in half, and put this inside. And we'll see what happens. And about that background noise, that's a big fan that's blowing on me, or it's turning because there's a lot of mosquitoes in here, so the audio is gonna have to just survive. All right, so we got it halfway into the basketball. So let's just see if it somewhat wants to stay level. Well, that was interesting. I feel the effect, like it doesn't want to move. Has more like inertia, but for some reason it just wants to shake. Hey, whoa! Whoa! Wait a minute. I put it up to like 20% throttle, and it actually was staying still. Something's wrong. Yep, it came loose again. Look at that, what a piece of art, huh? Here we go, first test with it closed pretty much all the way. This thing is so weird. Like really weird. Don't tell me it's coming off. What we're gonna do is just put an Allen key through the head of this nut, like I think you're supposed to do, and just crank it tight. Sounds like a jet engine starting up. See, it's like, see that? There's delay when it falls. Woo! Sounds like a fighter jet now. Survived. Take a look at the throttle. So it starts, that right there is 0 throttle. I'm gonna go all the way up to a little bit past the next line. And I'm gonna stand way back. I'll put the camera close. Let's see what happens. There we go. Look at that. Now if I could only make it spin, that would be perfect. That was pretty good. It definitely wasn't perfect, but that actually somewhat worked. So maybe we'll try and go a little bit higher throttle, but for some reason, it doesn't want to stay perfectly level. It keeps wanting to like rotate, sort of in a certain direction, which I guess for this to be perfect, you need 2 discs inside, one going one way and one going the other way. Then it'd probably balance perfectly. But this is close. Let's try a little bit faster and see what happens. Okay. Yep, no, that's... Oh, something's burning. Yeah, it smells like burnt rubber. All right, so it turns out, I think for this to work, I would need to get 2 gyroscopes and get one spinning one direction and one the other way. That way it wouldn't want to kind of rotate all the time. That's part number 1. Number 2, ideally I'd want to make this out of metal, the weights, because I could get it perfectly circular, and this one is just 3D printed, so you know, it vibrates and everything. So if I can make it perfectly circular and balanced perfect on a lathe, then it might even work with just 1 wheel. But with a 3D print, I think I need 2 wheels. So that is the end of today's video, because that was the experiment to see if we could do it, and it somewhat worked. Definitely, you can totally feel the effect. But what we're gonna do now is see if this thing will explode at full throttle. So let's go. Catch you guys in the next one. You can follow me on Instagram at KB_KingBills. See you in the next one. All right, GoPro has got its safety glasses on. Let's go. It survived. Now, that's a low battery warning that's going off right now. So you gotta take the battery out.